And I'll call this meeting of the Champaign-Urbana Cable and Telecommunications Commission to order and ask that the clerk call the roll.
Chair Folk.
Present.
Vice Chair Cinder.
Present.
Commissioner Foster.
Present.
Commissioner Walker.
Present.
Commissioner Lukeman.
Present.
Commissioner Rosales is absent, and he notified us he would be. He's out of town. You have a quorum.
We have a quorum. Holy cow. All right. So moving on to, does anyone have any modifications to the agenda that they would like to propose? Okay. Hearing none, I would ask for a vote to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. And moving on to the approval of minutes from our last two meetings, October 16th and November 21st. I didn't see anything wrong with them.
Move we approve the minutes.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? No. Okay. The minutes are approved by unanimous consent. And moving on to correspondence, and I would like to find that in the...
I have included in the commission packets correspondence pertaining to an incident between Comcast and Patsy Petrie, a resident of Champaign, and I'm sure Jeff can tell you more about that, as well as a HuffPost Chicago article that he included.
Yes, thank you. So there was there were, I believe, 4 or 5 cable complaints in Champaign since your last meeting, and it was 4. And one of them actually caught some interest of a couple of the commissioners, and that had to do with some tree trimming on a property in Champaign. Some tree trimming that was done by Comcast, and the property owner felt it wasn't done properly, and no notification, kind of left a mess, those kinds of issues. We did do some follow-up work, and actually the commission was well represented and provided some great follow-up on that, contacting the customer as well. Even provided Dale, thank you, some pictures of the trimming, and the city took all that information, I did, and consulted with both our legal departments and our forestry departments division, and it was determined that the city code was violated in that particular incident where they failed to give notification, didn't follow proper pruning procedures as well. So the legal department and I met and we discussed it, and we decided to send notice of such violation to Comcast. A copy of that letter is here in your packet, along with the remedies that we were requiring. And one of those remedies was a sit-down meeting with our forestry department and their technical department, so that, just have a discussion about, here's what the rules are, here's what we expect you to do. I'm happy to report that meeting is scheduled for tomorrow, and actually Urbana Forestry and Champaign Forestry are both going to participate in that meeting, since we both have very similar rules and have had similar problems in the past. And so I think that we're going to use this as an opportunity to educate them as to what is expected and required by the city code when doing tree trimming. So that's hopefully going to come to a good conclusion. In the short term, the complainant was satisfied that they came back and finished cleaning up the mess that they had made, which was one of her concerns, and that was taken care of.
Excellent.
Any questions about that in particular, or? I did also want to point out and read for the record just a little bit that the HuffPost Chicago article in here, headline, Illinois State Cable Bill Passes with Mixed Results, was posted June of last year, but actually just came to my attention in late November. This was kind of hidden, that the law was, the state cable law was renewed for another 2 years, largely unchanged. So that's kind of a good news, bad news. Depends on which side of that particular law you're in on. But those people who were receiving UVerse in Champaign-Urbana well, they can continue to receive it because, of course, UVerse operates under a state franchise. If this law had been allowed to sunset as it was written, they wouldn't be allowed to provide that service anymore. So a little bit of competition, if you happen to live in the right neighborhoods where UVerse is available, remains for another 2 years.
So jumping back to the tree trimming incident or issue, it sounded when the initial complaint happened like really the fundamental issue was that no or inadequate notice was given, and I thought it would be helpful to the viewing audience if we reiterated what they should expect from Comcast. My impression, just going unfortunately off the top of my head, was that they were supposed to give 7 days notice or something. Something. Do you have it in front of you?
I do. This is in the Champaign City Code. I did not review Urbana's code.
No, I didn't either.
So for viewers in Champaign, City Code requires all utilities, not just Comcast, but all utilities doing work in on public property. That would include easements and right-of-way, to provide during non-emergency tree pruning. The utility company has to notify the city arborist 21 days, and the adjacent property owners no less than 7 days before it plans to perform such work.
So in short, you should, if somebody's going to be in your backyard doing anything that's not an emergency, then you should get some notification of it 7 days in advance, and the city should know about it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I was aware of the cable bill when that happened, and I reached out to our local state senator to talk about it when it was up for renewal, and it didn't look like there were any changes at that time on the table that would significantly alter the current status. I think it would be interesting to talk sometime in the next year and a half about what this commission's position is on that law, and whether we like the fact that there's UVerse in here without we have no control over it, but whether we think that that's a good thing for our community or not, and to perhaps let our city councils know whether we think they should support the renewal or the sunsetting of that law when it comes up next in 2015. So I'll create a reminder for next year to bring that up pretty early in the year. All right. Were there any Urbana communications?
There were two cable complaints from Urbana. They are also in your packet. They were both concerning billing, and both seem to have been resolved satisfactorily.
Great. All right, moving on to the amendment of commission rules and regulations. Dale, you want to take this one?
Yeah, you'll find in your packet, I think, the latest draft, which if you haven't read already, I'd encourage you to read after the meeting sometime. There were a few changes from the last draft. Let's see if I can. Thank you.
You want to start
Yeah.
with, again, and maybe
Yeah.
give a 10-second background on where we're at?
Yeah. Over the past, I suppose, year or so, we have been in the process of revising the rules and regulations for the commission. The rules have been as they are for quite a number of years, and we're out of date with respect to meeting place, and also we had a desire to change the time of the meeting. And a few other things which needed to be updated with respect to changes in state and federal law where we no longer had applicability. And so I undertook, after several other people redrafted the rules and regulations to reconcile some of those things for the current draft. In the process, I found some wording which I thought it appropriate to change after hearing comments from Urbana Legal Department. I think if council members want to take a look at the two drafts, those will be readily apparent. But I think has legal for either Champaign or Urbana reviewed this at this point?
Well, first of all, what's in the packet is the final revision that I
Right.
received from you.
Yes.
And following that, additional suggestions for revisions from Jeff Hamilton that have not, to my knowledge, been addressed or incorporated into
Okay.
your
Yeah, I've
document
not
here.
yet seen those comments, so we
Yeah.
probably have another round
Well,
to go, or,
yeah.
or might have,
Yeah.
depending on.
The City of Urbana Legal Department and the City of Champaign Legal Department both saw your initial proposed revisions. Urbana commented, Champaign did not. My understanding, if I might just give you my understanding of the point of the process at which we are at right now, is that since you have a quorum today, if you were to approve a final set of rules revisions today, they could be passed on to the city clerk, the legal departments, and then at the next regular meeting of the Cable Commission be adopted. That would mean that you would have to meet at the regular meeting time as currently exists, which would be a Wednesday at 4 p.m. in April. That's my understanding of where this stands right now. So if you were able to come up with
Okay.
a final revision during
Okay.
this meeting, otherwise you'll need to either call another special meeting or wait another 2 meetings.
Right. I would guess I would poll the other commissioners at this point and ask if they have had a chance to review this draft at this point, or if they need some time to do that, and also to ask Jeff if to share his further comments so that we can determine if they might be something we'd like to incorporate or not. Yes.
I have a few. I did review them, and I think I also saw Jeff's comments. So I wonder if maybe we forgot somehow to forward
Yeah.
it to you. I
Could be.
apologize. The one thing that, in general, I think the version with Jeff's comments taken into account is quite good, quite close. My one concern was that there's some minor things about the clerk that seem to mix whether it's a member of the commission or not, and it's quite clear in the definition of the clerk that they need not be a member of the
Right.
commission. But then in other places, it's the commission shall elect from among themselves the following officers. There's just a variety of things with the clerk's position that.
Could you call my attention to those points where there's conflict?
Sure, but I don't think. I mean, we only need to address them if we're going to try and pass this today.
Yeah.
So.
That would be nice as long as we've been going on this, or,
Oh.
or would you rather?
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, then, I guess. To me, the one problem with the draft as commented on by Jeff with his revisions incorporated is that it says the commission shall elect from among themselves the following officers, where it really should say, this is in section A, the bottom of the
Right.
first paragraph,
Right.
where really it should say the commission shall elect, or shall elect the following
Yes.
officers. And then in 1 and 2, it should indicate that they need to, both the chair and the
be
vice chair
members
need to
of
be
the
members
commission.
of the commission.
Yes, okay.
Other
Whereas
than that, it felt to me like it hung together pretty well, though Jeff did have some comments that were not strictly revisions, and so I don't know how we address that if we're trying to approve it today.
Please understand, any comments I would have suggested are simply that.
Right.
Yep.
For example, the commission name is what you're referring to,
Yeah.
and us needing to decide one or willfully ignore it.
So
Yeah.
here's my position on the commission name.
We need consistency, I believe.
The commission name should be, I believe, the Champaign-Urbana the Champaign-Urbana Communications Commission, and it should
Okay.
cover cable television and telecommunications, but our responsibilities include commenting to the city councils on all communications technologies and media, including new ones that come along, not simply cable television and telecommunications. So to me, that's what the name should be, but I don't know if that's too...
That will necessitate us recommending to both councils that they change the names in our charters rather than just one, but
So
who
that's
cares?
that's to me
Yeah.
the issue with the name. I think that's the appropriate name for this commission, given what our communications environment has become.
Yeah.
And if we're going to ask one organization to change the name, we might as well just get it done with.
Yes.
I would worry a little bit without reference to the technology aspects in the name. It would sound like we have some
Yes.
sort of PR function.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Okay, well, there we go.
Electronic communications.
Mm.
No, that doesn't really narrow it down enough either.
Communications Policy Commission.
That would at least offset some of the
Yeah.
misinformation.
Communications Advisory Commission is another.
Yeah.
I don't.
I like that one. Yeah.
I guess I'd take a poll to see who thinks we should deal with the name. Let's just go through each person and see if you think that we should try and adopt a wholly different name today or not. Want to start?
Well, if we adopted a name today, or if we wanted to adopt a different name down the line, that would mean going through this whole process again to change this document and talk to the cities again, which seems like a pretty insurmountable goal. So, if we can, I don't know, if we can figure out one that we're happy with, then I'm for spending a little more discussion time on trying to get the name changed. Because I agree that the current one doesn't fit exactly. I mean, it just fits what the board is doing now, and it doesn't really leave any room for the future.
Karen, go.
My preference would be to just leave the name as it is. Calling it Communications Commission is so vague. I mean, that could be almost anything, and familiarly, people just call this the Cable Commission. If you don't have the name cable in there, people are going to think this is something new, or if they try to go to the city website and go looking for how to make a cable complaint or something and see Communications Commission, you know, that could be, I don't know, that could be verbal communication, that could be almost anything. Plus, as Chris said, just dealing with all the paperwork and I don't know that the benefits are great enough to go through all that trouble.
I guess it's important to me as the chair that it be clear from the name of the commission what I'm doing. And when I started, really before I had read our actual charter, what we're really supposed to be doing, our name felt more appropriate. But now that I've read it, it doesn't, and so that's why I'd like to change it. And to me, I'm with Chris that if we have to go through the whole process once, we might as well get it done with. So to me, I guess I'll echo Chris almost completely. If we can come up with something that we like as a whole, including Karen taking into account the fact that the name should make it clear to people if they need to communicate with us what they should be communicating about, I'd just as soon change it. But I'd also I'd like to hear more. I'd like to hear from both the staff and see if they think that a name change would cause all sorts of political rankles.
Yeah. Telecommunications in our name has always been a little bit ambiguous to me, as I think telecommunications is in general today to the man on the street. The communications seems a little too broad. Were you suggesting eliminating both cable television and telecommunications and replacing it with communications?
I was.
Yeah.
The issue with telecommunications is that there's a very strict definition of telecommunications in the FCC, in the
Right.
law, and that does not match what most people think of. Like many people would consider internet telecommunications, but the law clearly defines internet as not telecommunications.
Yes.
And our charter seems to talk about more general stuff, though it uses the word telecommunications a lot, where, again, telecommunications strictly is one thing, whereas what I think is in the charter is not necessarily that. So yes, my proposal was to get rid of both.
I would say I'm fine with the name change. As has been said, if we're going to do it, we should do that now. But as Karen said, and in all of my years being involved with this commission as a commissioner and as a staff person, the main thing, or one of the main things that we've been doing is involved with the cable company or the cable channels, the PEG channels. So I do feel it is important to maintain that in the name. I agree with Karen. If you take that out, people could see us as a whole new entity or a whole new commission and not quite understand that we're still that same commission that was doing that work prior.
Perhaps it's as simple as taking the tele off of communications.
Yeah. Go ahead.
It reads horribly,
Yeah.
but communications technology would be a vague enough term to replace telecommunications without rankling feathers. But I agree, like if too much of this packet is television for us to really lose that as part of the title.
Yeah.
Or cable or television. I know that's the kind of line between the Urbana and the Champaign City.
I don't want to lose the television. If we have cable, it should be cable television, because that's what it is. It's not just cable. We're not in charge of. We're not giving advice on Ameren, and they have lots of cables. I was actually thinking communications technology when Dale was talking. So I guess I'd put up a new proposal, which would be the Champaign-Urbana Cable Television and Communications Technology Advisory Commission.
I mean, I think it's good reasoning under the fact that telecommunications has a strict definition.
Yeah.
So It
Is-
reads really horribly, though.
Yeah. Is advisory necessary in the name? I just think we're like maybe adding one more word than we need.
Well, we're not the Communications Technology Commission. It's not our job to do communications technology.
Yeah, we never have been, and yet the advisory has never been there.
I leave it.
Yeah.
That's why I would want it in there. But
Yeah.
if no commissions are actually doing actual work, then maybe that is irrelevant. Jake and Jeff, could you talk about whether you think a name change would cause problems in your respective administrations, if you're willing to say that?
Speaking for Champaign, I don't think it would necessarily cause any problems. I don't think that title change is going to cause issues or grief or problems. Just simply, it would require council action because this commission is established by code, by both codes, both cities, and it's interesting that when it was established, they came up with different names for it at that time. So we were just trying to correct that. So any way you go, you're going to be making recommendations to one or both city councils to make a name change. So, and along with probably several other things. So I agree, do it all at once, makes sense. I'd also concur with Chris and Karen. You're commonly called the Cable Commission. Losing that word out of the title would probably cause some confusion.
And I would say that no matter what you change it to, you will still be called the Cable Commission by 99.9% of the people. So, in a sense, I'm not sure it matters.
I'm okay with that.
The proposed title seems incredibly long and complicated to me. And if you're trying to serve the citizenry, it seems to aim for clarity and simplicity would be my goal. But as I say, people will call you what they want to call you. So.
Yeah.
Well, the one nice thing about the new one is that its acronym is kind of nice. The current acronym would be CUCTTC, whereas the new one would be CUCTCTC, unless we have advisory in there.
Seems like a lateral move.
Regardless, they're both long.
You're asking for
take your point.
typos. You are asking for typos.
I have enough trouble with the three-letter ones.
I think a name change is good. If we feel it's needed, it's needed. I also don't think we need to bang our head up against a wall about it either. I think the proposed name that you had, minus the advisory, at least in my opinion, is a fine proposal.
Okay. You guys want to weigh in on the advisory question?
I say we follow whatever the majority of other commissions are doing. Are any listed as advisory, like in their official title?
A number of
to the best of your
them are.
knowledge?
A number of them are. A number of them aren't. Yeah.
I can't think of any in Champaign that are, but Urbana does have more commissions than we do.
Seems to me like every commission is advisory in nature. Few of them have absolute power to do anything without going through the council or going through some city staff. So advisory may mean something to us, but when you're just dealing with names of commissions, I don't think it's really necessary.
Sounds like the majority is get rid of it. So that means the proposed name is Champaign-Urbana Cable Television and Communications Technology Commission. Okay. So how do we go about adopting the rules and regs as modified by Dale, Jeff, and others? That will require Dale taking this and incorporating the final changes, including the name change. There's a...
Do you think that it would be sufficient that we approve them as amended, and then I submit the document as amended to the clerk, and then the clerk should distribute it, including to the cities. Would that be
Does that work?
stretching it too far?
In other words, can we approve something and Dale
And not
make,
have it already typed, yeah.
right? Dale make
We can
the
approve with changes.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
But this still doesn't address whether you want to incorporate any of Jeff's revisions or suggestions into this document.
I do want to incorporate.
Yeah.
Okay.
My proposal would be that we incorporate the at least all of the clear ones, and the ones that are not, as in all the ones that are simple changes, they all seemed like good changes. The ones that are questions we should address right now. So I'll just go through them. The name issue we've just addressed. The section has already been addressed.
Would it be possible for you to refer to them by their comment code?
Sure. JLH1 has been addressed. That's the name issue. JLS2 is has been addressed by the addition of a new article header, I believe. Is that right?
And the addition of the references to code and ordinances for Champaign and Urbana, which actually I think came from a comment later on in the document. By including it here, I could then refer to it elsewhere.
Okay. JLS3 and DLS4, I think, were addressed, right?
Yes.
Yes. Those are comments about the changes that were made. I am proposing a change to the end of the first paragraph of Section A regarding the membership of the elected people.
Section.
Article 3.
Section A.
Next page.
Yes.
Above where it says chair, vice chair, and clerk.
Ah.
1, 2, 3.
Commission shall elect, semicolon,
Yes, yes.
or colon, I mean.
Shall elect the following officers, colon.
Reading this with markup is difficult for me. So addition to both chair and vice chair as to
Being members.
being members. Yeah.
Yeah. JLS 5, I liked the change there, and that's also the same as D6.
So D6 fixes the comment,
Correct.
the JLS. Okay, cool.
JLS 7 is resolved by the addition of the clerk being elected by the
Yes.
members. JLH 8, that's one of the ones that I thought was good to get rid of that, because the 60 days has not been easy to meet.
Yeah, and I think that has happened.
So JLS 10, I think, is JLS 9. That's been addressed earlier
Yes.
by something in Article 1. JLS 10 talks about deadlines.
Those have been addressed.
Oh, have they? Okay. Oops. I don't understand JLS 11. And I think JLH 13 resolves those. JLS 14, I don't understand that one, so I think it's been resolved.
You're at 14.
I'm finding 14 to be a non-issue.
Yeah, it was. Commissions was added to that at the beginning.
Okay. DS 15. I think that was just a comment. I don't think it required any action.
Yeah, just comment on what was done.
JLS 16 seems to be a different language. JLS 17, I get the feeling that JLS didn't maybe have the context when he was reading this the first time, and some of these are just based on that. So rereading 6, review all grantee records required by the cities and in the Commission's discretion require the preparation and filing of additional information with the cities. Okay, that seems like a perfectly reasonable restating of number 6.
While we're at 6, I definitely don't want to get us off track. On 7, it says conduct evaluations of the cable television system at least each year. Does that refer to something we do, or is that just a signals on, signals not screwed up kind of test?
Well, I guess we can define the scope of our evaluation, but it's in the franchise and in the city code that we are supposed to evaluate the.
Okay, I just didn't know if we had something, if something particular was happening because of that. I mean, I think what we do could be construed as an evaluation, like our reports.
I would say our annual reports.
Okay, I just wanted
are
to see
probably
if that's what we
considered
kind of had in
evaluation.
mind, or if there was something else. Oh, just sorry.
No, fine.
There are many of these items which I feel like we have not done the maximum that could be done. I don't know that that's good or
Well-
bad, but that's one of them where we have not been really evaluating it
Yeah.
against any standard, at least.
Okay.
We certainly would have pointed out if there was something like the signal was off to half of the residents or something like that, but we haven't really been doing that. So, but it's something that's in our charter in the city code, so we really ought to be doing that.
I agree that the annual report, does a fair amount of that.
Good. JLS 19 also is one of these things that I don't know how he could ask that question, but he did, and there are no more comments. So to the extent that these changes impact city code, we would want to also recommend at the same time that those changes be made to city code so that all of this is consistent. And some of them are on purpose because, for example, we no longer get requests for rate increases if we ever did in Champaign, though in Urbana, in theory, they would have to ask to increase the basic rate beyond a certain level, which they never have.
Yeah, it was my intention we provide a cover letter with that information to the councils.
Okay. So I guess I would ask for a motion to approve the rules and regulations of the Champaign. Go ahead.
Sorry, real quick, we could use a period on section N7. That's why it was brought to my attention in the first place.
Okay.
Just nothing, just bringing it up.
I guess I'd ask for a motion to approve them as amended, both in written form and verbally in this session,
Yeah.
which Dale will prepare, and a cover letter, which Dale will prepare and I will approve or something?
Yes.
Um,
And I will look at the video of the session to get
Cool.
that, and if I have any questions, I'll refer to you.
Okay. Do I hear such a motion?
Yes, I move we approve as appearing in the document and amended here at the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Question, do we need to make an additional motion for the name change, or is that going to be connected in since we're putting it on the rules, or does that have to be a secondary?
If you'd like to make a motion, we can.
Make a motion to approve the name change, changing it to the Champaign-Urbana Cable Television and Communication Technology Commission.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay.
And
That was a-
there may be one more motion that needs to be made according to the attorney. It says a commissioner may make a motion that staff provide the proposed amendment to the city clerk and to the city attorneys at least 7 days before the next commission meeting, and place the specific amendment on the agenda for the next regular meeting. That's the exact wording from our legal department. So.
I so move.
Before we do that, though, I wanted to capture that it was that last vote was 4 in favor, 1 abstain. Since we have a motion per the
Yeah,
exact wording of the legal.
I will move that we provide the necessary notifications to city attorneys and councils.
As read by Jeff.
As read by
Jake.
Jake. Yeah.
There a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. I think that does it with this long process of the, well, not really. Does it for now. Moving on to the annual report of the commission, which, Jake, I never got you what I said I would, did I? Jeff, I'm sorry. This is I believe, the final version of the annual report, which I still have to send to Jeff and tell him this is the final version. So, I don't know that there's anything more to do on it here. But if anyone has any comments.
It doesn't go against what you said, but as I mentioned at my annual report, verbally, if not in the paper, UI7 also streams online 24/7.
Okay, I will amend it.
That's as of this past year.
I'm surprised I didn't catch that. Okay. We have some new business, which is station clips reels. And when the annual report comes to the city councils, if there's an opportunity to show them these clips, I'd love it if we did it. I don't know, do we have the clips today, or is it just a discussion of them?
We do have clips from all of our stations.
Fantastic.
I'm a little unclear as to is one of you, as a commissioner, or particularly the chair, do you plan to be at the city council meeting where these are presented?
I would be happy to.
Okay. Yeah, we have 4 clips reels.
Roll clips.
Okay.
Muy buen día, les habla Ricardo Díaz, esperando que en los próximos minutos que podamos hablar sobre migración, aquí en el foro. Immigration Forum TV es el programa que le trae noticias sobre este asunto a nivel nacional, estatal y también definitivamente local.
This early motion picture palace had a fashionable Art Deco facade added in 1934. This leads us to the story of another notable Urbana man, Roger Ebert. The first movie he ever saw was the 1937 Marx Brothers comedy A Day at the Races, right here at the Princess Theater.
All I want for Christmas is you to disappear. All I want for Christmas is you to disappear. All I want for Christmas is you to disappear.
Bartley drives.
Oh, that was a
and
circus
a charge.
shot. That was a circus shot. Who does he think he is? Chris Paul? Just because you're wearing number 3 doesn't give you special talents, Mr. Bartley. Sorry.
So we have to understand that this is the way God orchestrated things to be.
Amen.
You know, and we as men of God, we have to teach our young men, don't you think?
That's true.
To be in the frame of thinking to follow God's ordinance instead of following the Joneses.
Right.
Amen.
Chris Richards shoots Skylar Cruz off the ropes, bends down. No! Skylar Cruz leapfrogs, makes the tag to Gavin Daring. Comes flying off the top ropes with a flying drop kick. Hits Chase Owens with a reverse, with his big spinning reverse neck breaker.
Kim, what led you to become an artist?
Well, my family is, I'm the youngest of 4 kids, and everyone kind of followed that direction. My mom was an opera singer, and my sister studied to be opera singer as well, and my dad was in advertising, so it kind of was a no-brainer, despite the fact that my dad told me to do something practical.
I'm gonna put on my new hat, baby. Gonna head down to the waterfront. Gonna put on my new hat, baby. Gonna sit down at the waterfront. You can watch the moon rise over the water. We can hold our hand like I was my father's daughter.
You've been waiting for this your whole life. Welcome to Illinois.
I had heard from friends of mine who taught in the College of Education, taught the elementary ed students, that they came into their methods classes, that is to say the methods where they're supposed to learn about how to teach science without knowing any science or any physics. And so they would have to spend a lot of time catching the students up on just content of science itself rather than how to teach it. So we thought we could put together a hands-on class, a class that they would want to take because it would be kind of fun, you know, and not too intimidating, but still try to sneak some science in there so that they would leave knowing a lot more than they would have if they hadn't taken the class.
You ready?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay.
Dr. Anderson. I'd like to tell you something. Today, I, along with a group of others, would like to salute you in all that you've done and continue to do.
Hey, Lynn.
I just wanted to read you this note.
From the Richmond Journalism Teaching Studio on the University of Illinois campus, UI 7 News, your U of I news source.
Hello, welcome to UI 7 News Break. I'm Bria Perdaman.
And I'm Rachel Lloyd. Today we have a look at the top stories in local news.
Yeah, what is this thing? What thing is this? Yeah, it's causing a problem.
Problems are everywhere in our world. This week, the University of Illinois is focusing on fixing problems in our environment with Sustainability Week.
At the age of 98, University of Illinois Emeritus Professor Fred Kummerow still has a great memory. He has to. 20 years after retiring at the age of 78, he still employs a small team of scientists who work in his university laboratory to study the causes of heart disease.
Sensei was such an influential part of my life. Leaving my little farm town of Manuka, Illinois, where I grew up, and coming to college to begin a life of pursuit of performing as an artist was daunting in many ways, and to sort of fall comfortably nestled under his wing was a profoundly affecting blanket of security.
Our relationship is not like just plain school teacher and student, more of father and sons and daughters. We can rehearse until 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock at Granite.
Do you need some help?
Yeah. Do you know how to shoot animals?
That's easy. You don't need a camera. I mean, get shotgun, that's easier.
No, I mean take photos.
I'm just kidding. Let me show you that.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was hoping for, I think. The UPTV clips are always the highlight of for me, of the UPTV Commission meetings, and that just shows the really great work that all of our PEG channels are doing here in Champaign-Urbana. Just really, really good stuff. So I thank you for putting that together, all four of you, and I hope we do get an opportunity to show that to the two city councils, because I'm sure that the city councils know that their meetings are on there, but I'm not sure that they know how much other great stuff is on there. We don't have an audience today, so unless one of you wants to run up and say something via that microphone, then I'll move on to commissioners' comments, and I'll just start from left to, well, I don't know, stage left to right.
I've got nothing.
Okay. No, I'm good. Okay, our next meeting date for our regularly scheduled meeting is April 16th, 2014. The chances of us trying to make that date are good because it has to be a regular meeting for us to approve the rules and regs that have been that we've adopted here today. I mean, for us to adopt the ones that we have approved here today. And when do we change the regular meeting schedule?
It would be after those rules are approved and adopted.
Okay, great. Then we'll deal with other meetings after that. Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
A second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That's good. The meeting is adjourned.